Hi, this is Damien AtHope, and I'm an Axiological Atheist. And I'm here with my guest. Could you go ahead and tell us your name and what kind of atheist you are?
Hello, my name is Prashant, and I'm not the nihilistic atheist. I'm more of the axiological, I would think, because, well, in the questions I were supposed to submit, I couldn't really find myself as a nihilistic atheist. It seemed too much like, I'd say, it was actually not enough emotion. It was like everything was very, very black and white. It did not feel correct to be a nihilistic atheist to me. And that's the kind I am.
Right. Yeah, I can understand, because a nihilistic atheist is one who doesn't see that there's any value in things or the world, or that they can be known. And for me, that the whole world is value. So
I understand you completely, because when I actually had to Google up a lot of the terms, because I come from Sweden. I mean, I live in Sweden. I don't come from Sweden, as you obviously can see. I live in Sweden, and we're
could you tell us where you came from?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my background. I was born in India. I was born in Nagpur. It's very central of India, but I came to Sweden when I was 2 years old. My parents are Christian, but they're more secular Christians. As I was supposed to say, Sweden is a mostly secular country. The laws here are not, I mean, they are based on some biblical, naturally, but as of lately, we have progressed a lot, which means we don't we don't swear on the Bible, I would assume. If there is somebody from Sweden who is watching this, you will have to correct if I say something wrong, naturally. But for example, we don't swear on the Bible like I saw that people do in the United States when they become judges, for instance.
Right.
Now I lost my track. I was supposed to tell a little about myself. And I was born, I was raised Christian by my parents. I went to Sunday school, and I was kind of not really a menace, but I didn't have the energy. I mean, I couldn't sit still. I was very, very energetic. Sunday school was a real bore, to be honest. I wanted to be outside and play, like children.
Right.
So that wasn't something I actually enjoyed. I actually see it more as Homer Simpson. They go to church, but Homer really doesn't want to. You can see that clearly on him. And I was a lot like that. In my, let's see, I think I was a teenager when I followed one of my friends to, they were playing some, it was kind of like hockey, but it's inside. It's called innebandy here in Sweden. And they were a Christian group, and that's actually how I got suckered into it more and more. So I think I was like 13 or 14 at the time, and I never thought critically. I wasn't really smart enough to think critically on my own, and nobody ever told me to think critically. Taught me how to think critically. I never really examined most of the questions like I do today.
Right.
At that time, it was just go with flow. It was easier. However, after a long time there, like a year almost, I thought it was just boring, and I jumped off, and I had to go to, let's see, how we call it? We call it baptize. It was kind of a baptism almost. Not everyone, but teens, when you get of a certain age, you go to church camp and get like comfy mahout, we call it. I didn't like that, but I did it mostly because of my parents, and they actually bribed me with a rifle, not a real firearm like you have in the United States. Naturally, it was an air rifle, but it was a rifle nonetheless. And I did it mostly because of my parents. But as I got older, I started to doubt a lot, and I have a really, really good friend, Martin, and he always told me, this is bullshit, this is stupid, and every time he said something, it sticks with you. I mean, he was and still is one of the best people I have in my circle. So every time he spoke, even if it was like a little almost insulting, it still stuck. So after when I got to it was after elementary school, like first grade in college, almost you can call it. That's when it started to feel like, screw this. I don't feel any of these supposed to be miracles. The passion for Christianity, for that kind of religion, it did not stick to me. So I actually sought myself to other spiritual religions and things like that. I tried a little Buddhism, mostly for meditation and such purposes. I tried some Wicca, but that was just weird to me. And after that, I had some personal trouble, and things didn't go very well there. And after all that, it was like, no, this isn't working. We can't go through life like this. It's not going to work. And by we, I mean myself, of course. Sometimes I think in plural in my head, what are we supposed to eat? What are we going to do? But that's just in my head. So when I told my parents at a table I was not a Christian anymore, my mom began to cry, and that's her. Actually, she's been crying a lot for no good reason, so it was just emotional blackmailing, and that's why I honestly didn't care what she said. I mean, my sister is she's still religious, but she's not a praying type. She's more like, she has a lot of different religious icons and things, but no, she doesn't pray or anything like that. And actually, my entire family, none here pray, but my parents are secular Christian or whatever they're supposed to call them. But religion here in Sweden and compared to the United States, it's a lot of difference here and there.
Yeah, we have a lot of fanatics.
Yes, I know. I have seen quite a few of them, and I had a tangle with one of them because, let's see, this with Donald Trump and the Syrian refugees. Somebody said something about we have to stop the immigrants from coming into our country. We have to shoot them dead.
Oh, God.
We have to call our senator and make them put a stop to this. And I got really upset because this was one of the most racist. Is it okay to swear in this?
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. That was one of the questions I was supposed to ask at the start.
Yeah.
Anyway, this human, she had this really, really racist attitude, and I told her, this is fucking bullshit. You can't, if you want to stop them, sure, go ahead and pray and see if that helps. And then some asshole, he jumped right on me and told me, yeah, you're a Muslim thumper, you goat fucker, and a lot of nasty names and things like that. And that was not the most upsetting thing. I know why he called me a Muslim. My name is, it's not Anglo-Saxon, it's not a Christian name.
Right.
In his ignorant mind, everything that is not sounding white, that's naturally got to be a Muslim, because you have only one of two things. You have Christians and you have enemies in his mind.
Yeah.
I was really, really.
But Islam does that too. Islam is Islam and everybody else.
Oh, naturally. I should. I'm just meant for this example. This particular Christian man. But you are naturally correct. Islam does the same. It's Islam and everyone else.
Yeah.
And I don't like that dichotomy. It's very, very insulting, to be honest, because. I have a lot of Muslim friends, and they are really great people. I mean, they're nice, they're generous, and everything like that. I mean, just like Christian people. But when I examine a bit further, when I go into their religion, it's like, yeah, I'm actually a heathen. He wants me, or not he or she, but that religion tells me to burn in hell just because I don't think the way they do, because that is insulting in a way. I mean, it's black and white. You're either with us or you're against us.
Oh yeah.
It's very wrong.
Yeah. Well, actually, in the Quran 2:191, I think it is, where it says that you're supposed to kill non-believers, and that you're doing them a favor.
I don't know that particular verse. However, I know enough to know that you're speaking the truth, because I've read some of the Quran. It's just that it's a lot to take in. It's incredibly boring. It's, to be honest, the Bible is
boring also.
More fun. Yeah, but in their favor, to the Christians' favor, it's like, when it's talking about the emissions, like there she lusted for her lovers with horse. Yeah, I think you know the particular verse. That's actually more entertaining. The Quran is it's very rigid. I think it's more boring to read. So I haven't actually read that part. But I still think not a single Muslim actually does this. They don't kill me. They don't, and the Quran also says that you're not supposed to trust an unbeliever.
Yeah.
I've helped Muslim friends do a lot of things. I mean, I've helped them with computers. I've helped them write letters, and I've helped them do a lot, and they still trust me. Does this mean they are actually going against their own book? I would say yes.
Yeah. I agree, but that's true with a lot of the books that the holy books. You can't really follow their religion, because if you actually follow their religion, you're going to be a fanatic. So anyone who's not a fanatic is automatically not following their religion.
I agree completely. It's not really possible for anyone to follow any set of religion without ending up in jail. I mean, take for example the United States. Not a single one of the really conservative Christian right-wingers, they haven't gone around and stoned their daughter for being unwed when they have sex. I mean, the example here is Bristol Palin, and they haven't stoned her, and technically they should do that if they want to follow their own religion.
Yeah.
Which they don't. And that's nobody can possibly follow such a religion, any religion, because the rules they're extremely strict, and it's just not possible, I think, to do that.
Well, I like when they say, no, well, that was back then. Also, back then, unethical things were ethical? What?
I know, it's really weird. They can't... they're cherry picking. They're definitely just cherry picking here and there. I mean, one of the most common things that Christians say, it's homosexuality is an abomination. Yes, sure, but a lot of other things are an abomination as well, according to your idiot scripture. For example, shellfish, mixed fabrics. You're not supposed to shave your beard, and women are supposed to have their hair hidden. It is not logical to use that kind of argument. It is not rational, not at all. And I don't feel annoyed, but I think it's. I do feel annoyed, but it doesn't get to me because I think most of the people that argue like that that I have come across, they are over the internet and they are mainly based in the United States.
True.
I'm not saying that I'm sorry?
I said true. A lot of them are based in the United States, probably.
Here in Sweden, we actually don't have many religious anymore. Or maybe that is wrong to say as well, but my point is it's dying out among the generation and things like that. Many of the youth are actually secular. Most of the religious people, they tend to be Muslims now, I think, because they're more strict with raising their children according to the Quran. It's more a cultural thing to be religious there. The culture in Sweden is secular, or at least it has come to change this way in the 80s, 90s, and definitely now in the 20,000 year. So it's much more of a secular nation in that regard.
So when you finally told your family that you were an atheist, what did they have to say?
I couldn't say much because, like I said, we're quite liberal in a way here. So, like I said, mother was crying, but that's her usual response to things when things get either stressful or she doesn't know what to do. She cries, and to me that's emotional blackmailing, and I've sadly come to stop giving a shit about when she cries. I know it's very harsh to say, but when somebody does emotional blackmail, it starts to get like that. It's kind of like my ex-girlfriend. She did things like that as well. It's when she was very upset, she started to say things like, "I'm breaking up with you." Actually, I didn't even care. All I did was sit in school, do my work, and a few days later, when she's calmed down, she sent some messages. "Oh, I miss you so much," and you learn to work around it and not taking anything seriously. It's just sad that it had to do with my mom and crying.
So anyone else in your family, are they there, or are they back in India? The rest of your family?
Oh, well, now I see. I forgot to mention another thing. I'm adopted.
Oh, you're adopted.
Yeah, so my parents are the classical Swedish people. If you know what I'm saying. It's they're okay. Fine. I'm going to have to use some words I didn't really want to use, but they're Caucasians. They're European. So me and my sister, we're both adopted from India, and my parents are Caucasian. It's nothing like I normally think about, but for me personally, it's been some troubles being non-Caucasian.
Could you tell us about that?
Yeah. Let's see. I've actually repressed a lot of the memories because some of them are nasty, naturally. I was teased when I was younger, and because it was me and one other, I think, at the school I was attending. We were not Caucasian, so we stood out. That wasn't the most fun part of my life, naturally, and I've had quite a few bruises from that time, mental scars. Things tidied up somewhat when I was growing up, and we switched schools, and because from grade 1 to 6 we were in one school, and from grade 7 to 9 we had another. In grade 7 I started, there were a lot of other children, children, and some of them were very nasty, because I was living very isolated. Not really isolated, but I was a shy kid, so I didn't go out much, and I never come into contact with things like the Nazis and wannabe Nazis and racist people. But there were a few on the school there, so that was also bad. But things have actually gotten worse lately. Let's see, from that time, yeah. And after after the elementary school years 1 to 9, we went to something that would be like a college, I guess. I didn't have any racist problems there, but it was after that, when I graduated after college. That's when you have to go into real life, and yeah, unfortunately, that's when many of these filters fell off, and that's when I started to get into more, discriminations and things like that. Discrimination based on skin color, and I don't appreciate it at all. It's not funny in any way, but I still am the lucky one, because I know that there are people that have it far worse than I have. I mean, I've been called a nigger, I've been called a negro, I've been called all things that I don't. That are very insensitive. But to me, yeah, sure, they hurt, and things like that. But still, to me, they can brush off, because I know people some people I have close to me, they have it far worse, and that's, yeah, they have it worse. I can only say that they have it worse than I have. They're less lucky when it comes to racism and that kind of thing. The closest thing to racism lately, that's been when that person on Facebook called me a Muslim and things like that. It was very insensitive of him, and I didn't care that much. But to other people, it's worse. In my current class, I'm studying web development. We have someone from, I think he's from Vietnam. And he was called a lot of nasty names. He's much younger than me too, so I think he had it more with this racism than I had, because, like I said, I've been lucky. People don't call me nasty things to my face, usually. I mean, it's happened, but then it's been over the internet, you have an avatar. I usually have an avatar of myself, and getting called something nasty on the internet, to me, it's, yeah, sure, it hurts, but it's not that bad. It's much worse if they've been telling this to my face. So that's a racism issue.
Have you experienced any of that in the atheist movement? Atheist groups or anything?
No, not to say that I can remember right now. But to be honest, I don't move that closely in the atheist community. It's I do like to listen to certain people. For instance, I follow you. I mean, I came into contact with you via. I can't remember, to be honest, but I follow you on Instagram and things like that. I do follow the Armored Skeptic. I do follow the Bible Reloaded, but I don't really speak very much to people. I mean, I don't. I do some comments here and there, but I don't, read a lot of the topics because it feels like something I would have to do if I lived in America, where where the Christians and the atheists really, it's really a type, more of a community there, I think, because like I said, in Sweden, it's more natural to be secular. It's more
Well, can you what does secular mean in Sweden, or what does it mean to you? Because you keep saying it.
Yeah, to me it means not having to bother with these religious things like the religious culture. I guess I want to say because in the United States, many people, they are Christian. I don't think there's any denying that. I mean, a lot of people are either very religious or just a little religious, maybe raised Christian, but don't have to attend church. Kind of like I did, almost. But over here, we don't really base the laws on any religious things, like, for instance, in Saudi Arabia. That's a very theological country, and unlike Sweden, our laws are not based on the Quran. Our laws are based on the Swedish law book, and to me that's more secular. That we do not base our laws on ancient scripture. It's modern. It keeps up with technology, with development, with attitudes as well. I mean, in the 60s, I think it was in Sweden. It was more. It was actually okay to. No, wait. The definition for rape. The definition for rape in Sweden during the 60s. It was a completely different thing then to what it is now. And if we should compare our laws with Saudi Arabia, for example, where the laws are much more theologically driven, it's much more. It's more of a dictatorship-driven thing there, I would imagine. To be honest, I do not know the laws of Saudi Arabia that well, but I do know they are a very theological country.
Yeah.
So that's secular in my aspects, and that is what I meant. For example, we do not, I mean, the judges in Sweden, they do not. I do not think they swear upon a holy book, for instance, like they do in the United States. Recently, I saw a video clip of a Muslim judge swearing upon the Quran to uphold the United States laws, and actually that's perfectly fine with me if she wants to do that, because a Christian judge is allowed to swear upon the Bible. Ergo, to me it would be equality. She's a Muslim woman living in the United States, and she's sworn to uphold the laws of your country and to uphold the Constitution, but she simply swears by another holy book. There's no law to say that she cannot do this, but she had a lot of nasty emails and things coming her way because of this. They say, this is the United States, this is not Saudi Arabia, blah, blah, blah. And that's just wrong. That's just so wrong. I mean, if they can't accept a Muslim judge, but they can accept a Christian judge.
Yeah, I think that they should do away with having any holy book at all. I mean, really, religion has no part in government, so yeah. I agree with you that, so it doesn't matter to me what book you use, they shouldn't be using any. So, I mean, whatever.
Exactly, exactly. They should use the laws of the United States. They should. Yeah, I'm not an American, but I personally think they should swear on the Constitution and the laws of the United States, not on a holy book that is riddled with scientific errors. That it's written with contradiction. It's just, why would you swear on something like that instead of something like the particular nation's law book? I mean, come on, it's much more reasonable to be swearing your loyalty as a judge. I mean, on a law book. I mean, you're supposed to uphold the laws of the country, not the laws of the religion.
I agree.
It's fine if you do religious bullshit in your own time, even though I personally don't like religion at all. But anyway, uphold the law first and foremost. That is your job as a judge. I don't know how the judges get paid. Is it via taxpayers or?
Yeah, it's tax. Well, yeah. The government pays the judges, probably, or the county, or depends on who the judges. But
then everyone is funding your salary. That means you should follow the laws of the country, not the laws of your religion, because not everybody abides by your shit religion, for example. And now I don't even mean the Quran. Now I mean the Christians. I mean, you as an atheist, you're paying, your tax money goes to mega churches. Your tax money goes to, well, things you don't agree with, and it's just awful the way some of the tax money is. It's used completely wrong.
oh yeah.
And
Well, yeah, and that in big corporations, but we won't help the poor. Yeah, that's great.
we have, unfortunately, a similar problem over here, but everyone here is turning a blind eye to the problems in Sweden because we take in refugees, and suddenly everyone thinks, oh, we can't take in the refugees, we have to take care of our own poor. It had to take fucking refugees for you to notice that we have poor people in Sweden that are alcoholics, that are sleeping on the fucking streets. But now, when... Oh, I'm sorry, I just got a little
that's fine.
passionate here.
No, go ahead.
But the thing is, you can't turn a blind eye to the refugees now, just because they are running from war. And here's the cherry on this shit cake. We, in Sweden, we have a bomb weapons manufacturing. We are supplying the motherfuckers in Syria with arms. We are causing this problem. We are part of the problem. And we refuse to take any fucking responsibility. No, we can't do that. It's not logical. It's not rational. It's just shit to do this. You can't drop bombs on foreign cities and then say to the people that come here fleeing for their lives, oh, we can't take any refugees because there's no place in Sweden. Bull fucking shit. The thing is, Sweden is an incredibly long country. The distance from the top of Sweden to the bottom of Sweden, it's longer than the distance from Sweden to Italy. Ergo, we have a lot of space here for refugees. We have a lot of place for anyone who wants to come here. The problem is not space. The problem is people. People are the problem here in Sweden, not the refugees. But I digress. The thing I was supposed to talk about.
No, that's good. Talk about whatever's passionate. That's good.
Politics is passionate because in your letter you wanted to know about my race, about my sexuality, about my I can't remember, but there were a lot of questions, and one thing I stated was I do not like normally to use the term race. What does that tell you about me? I mean, if you were handed a dossier about me that says this man is born in India, he's a heterosexual male, that really really shouldn't say very much to you other than the fact that A, I have a penis, B, I have probably browner skin, but other than that, it does not say anything about my my competence. For instance, I'd like to think I'm a good shot with weapons, but that would be lying. I like to think I'm a good martial artist. I like to think that I'm a lot of things, but my race doesn't determine this. My interests does. I see myself as an artist. I like to paint things. I don't know if you know about Warhammer 40,000. It's a miniature board game, and I like to paint models from those. They're like tiny soldiers you paint. That's creativity for me. I see myself as a creative artist. And if I told you I'm Indian, that doesn't say anything about my artistic values, about my competence as an artist. And that's why I don't like to use. That's why I do not like to use the term race. It doesn't really tell you much about the person. You, as I see it, you have to really get to know somebody before you judge them.
Right, right. So for the questions that you asked, actually, I never asked about race. That's not one of my questions. You might have answered that, but that's not one of my questions. No, I asked, do you support race rights?
Oh,
no, that's because
sorry,
yeah, but that's fine. But the other questions are correct, but the questions are not. The reason why I ask if you're heterosexual or you're gay or bi or whatever is because some people don't tell me, or I don't know that about you. So in other words, I don't know who you are when I do an interview. I'm asking questions because if you are gay, then that matters. If you're heterosexual, that's not an issue that's going to come up. But if you're a gay and you're in Sweden and you're, whatever, that's going to make more of an issue. And so it's something else to talk about. It's also so other people, the reason I ask you those things is because then there's information for someone before they watch the video, they can learn really quick who you are. But it's not to define you. It's just so that they know the different people in the videos.
Yeah, I understand. The thing is, normally when people ask me, I say I'm from India, and well, that's why I brought up race. But you mentioned race equality, and yes, that is something I am definitely for. Naturally, I mean, it would be odd of me to not be for race equality and be.
Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. I know people that are of different races and will still hate other races. That's not, no matter what race it is. You could be Hindu and hate Pakistan, hate Chinese, hate a Caucasian. You could. It's not impossible. I mean, I'm just saying it's not. And it wasn't even all the questions, the things I give for the answers to the questions were not have tos. I'm giving you different options so that you can choose, because some people say, well, I don't know what to say about myself. So that's why I made questions that people can answer so that they can learn how to talk and we can do it better. But yeah, the questions were not, you didn't have to fit it with, because I said in my thing, any of these that fit you, go ahead and say that. So it's just you're supposed to go. Yeah, I'm a rationalist. I'm a free thinker. I support race rights. I support feminism or whatever. I support this. I support that. It's just so people can know who you are. Some people don't support it. Some people it's not a big issue.
Yeah, I do support feminism, however, and I know that a lot of people, even in the atheist community, well, I shouldn't use the word even, but people everywhere, some of them are actually not into this with feminism. Some, I don't know why, but they use the term femnazi, and they use the word feminist like a bad word, like a derogatory word. And I don't understand why. Why wouldn't you want a female to make as much as a male? It does not make sense to me to want them to make less money. Tell me what the reason is, and do not use the reasoning because we're stronger. It does not make sense. I can speak for myself. I'm not very strong. I'm short. I'm 160 centimeters, and
I have no idea what that is.
It's like 5'4" at the most.
Okay.
It's not. I'm very short, and ergo I'm very weak, so I can carry as much as a real tall, strong, well-trained person can. Am I?
Yeah, I'm almost 6 foot.
6 foot. That's shit. That's huge.
Yeah.
So in our example here, you would be making more money than I would because you can carry more stuff.
Right.
It's not logical because we still do the same amount of work, and that's one of the things.
Well, especially if you did computers, what would it matter?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Then we remove the body's strength, natural strength altogether, and it's just so wrong to use that failing argument. And well, for example, somebody like no, I don't know if you know this guy, so I will not mention the name. But there's an atheist that has a very, very skewed way of viewing women. And I do not follow his channel. I have actually made many attempts to block it because it keeps popping up on my YouTube. I don't need to listen to a grown man whining about how bad it is that women and men are treated equally. I mean, we're still just fucking Homo sapiens. We're people. We're supposed to be better than this. Humanity as a whole. If we could leave religion, we still would have a lot of problems. Yes, but we can strive to reach so much further than we have now. We spend a lot of money debating. For example, one of the classics would be Bill Nye the Science Guy,
Right,
man versus Ken Ham. Ken Ham has spent a lot of taxpayer money on his little creationist boat thing. You don't think that all that taxpayer money, and I do quote taxpayer money, could have been used to, for instance, your homeless veteran soldiers? I mean, I'm not a nationalist, and I personally can't relate to the fact when somebody says we do owe our troops. I personally can't relate, but yeah, sure, if people feel they do, yes, use the taxpayer money to actually support these people. There are the homeless people, there are homeless LGBT people in the streets. You could help them with the taxpayer money, but no, you have to have a fucking theme park based around the fact that some jackoff that was 950 years old, he built a boat that transported all these weird animals and my favorite, the penguins, on this boat, and you're telling me that this is feasible? No, and use taxpayer money to actually benefit your people. You have so many things you could rather be doing, and that's why one of the reasons I hate religion. It's like we can all the money, all the taxpayer money, it can be used to something that benefits society. And yes, by the way, I'm a socialist, and a lot of people in the United States have been using this as a swear word and a derogatory word against me. Yes, I'm a socialist. I believe that we should help the before. I believe everybody deserves this chance. It's if you think the word socialist is wrong, I think you should pick up a book and read what it's really about. And please do not use the word nationalist socialist, because those are completely different. That's not at all what Sweden is, because Sweden is it's not ultra socialist, but it's very socialist. Unfortunately, the last 8 years have been the last 10 years has been a step in the United States direction. That is a step to the right, unfortunately, because people view your model of running a country. It's viewed as a sort of paragon, and I'm sorry to say I can't agree everything about that, because I believe in social security. I believe that we should have some kind of protection for those that slip into unemployment, because in the United States at the moment it's both good and bad, naturally. But for example, Detroit fell on hard times when the financial bubble fucked up, and a lot of countries here in Europe fell on hard times because they had adopted a very aggressive right-wing politic. And it's not good for the people. I mean, the people are the ones that need the help, not those rich percent at the top. They have financial resources to get themselves out of trouble already. And again, it's taxpayer money. They think that just because they don't have to pay out of their own pocket, they can just spend it here and there and buy a new island, buy nice gifts for their corporate friends. No, the taxpayer money should go to benefit the people. And in Sweden, we didn't have the separation from church and state until the year 2000 something. So taxpayer money went to the church, actually. You had to manually go to your church and unregister, which I did in secret because my mom was weird about it.
You had to unregister from the church?
Yeah. When you are born, or rather, in the 80s, for example, when you were born in the 80s, you automatically became a member of the Swedish church, which means that part of your tax money meant it just went to fixing churches and shit. I'm glad I don't pay money to that, because I don't believe in the cause that they have. Sure, churches they do some good. They're not all bad. I can't wholeheartedly say they're all bad, but naturally I don't agree with the church's methods. They feed the homeless, sure, but they also try to get more people in there so they can have people believing in their made-up sky daddy. And I think it's almost a sort of extortion. Come here and have a sandwich, but in the meantime, before you eat, you have to listen to this ceremony. That's tantamount amounts to extortion, I think, because you're basically just forcing them to sit through your bullshit lecture because they have a human need to eat. Nobody wants to starve.
Right.
I mean, if you're starving, you'd do almost anything to get that piece of a sandwich or a piece of meal. And really, I don't really like religion because of that. Well, there are a lot of reasons I don't like religion, but I think that it's little things like that, and people saying God is everywhere around us. Yeah, about that, that means God is actually in the very room where a Catholic priest is molesting a little choir boy. And some people actually use the excuse, God works in mysterious ways. God gave us free will. What the actual fuck are you saying? You're saying that God's mysterious way is for this little boy to maybe commit suicide when he gets into his teens? That's fucking atrocious. You can't say that. Or we have free will. Yeah, but your idiot God is supposed to be either omnipotent or omniscient or both. So yeah, either he doesn't want to stop it. I don't even care if God gets off on watching other people get hurt. But if God has this immense power, I mean, creating a fucking universe with the power of words, and he can't stop something as awful as a molestation. And it doesn't have to be a child molestation necessarily. It can be any form of molestation. He has the power to stop it. He has the power to stop the bombs from Syria. The bombs dropping on Syria. But he doesn't do it because we have free will. No, that shit does not fly. That shit does not fly because you can't be using such weak-ass arguments and still say God is great. No. Why do we call him God if he just sits idly by? I mean, logically, I might as well worship this flying spaghetti monster.
Well, I think that even more important, even than the fact of God could stop, because he could, but that God could stop child molestation. Why are children born? Because you said free will. Why are children born with birth defects? Wouldn't God not make that? Or why would God allow cancer and heart problems, for newborns or young babies where they die, shortly after birth, or suffer for just a couple years, 2, 3, 4 years, and then die? Why is that? What kind of loving God would do that? Because there's no free will involved. It's not like he's having to stop someone's free will. What, the cancer's free will?
Oh no, that's just the example there. It's a very good example on why God is not omnipotent. Why God? Well, basically, we don't believe in God anyway. But it's just why does anyone believe in a God that would put them through such horrors? I mean, as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I mean, as a parent watches their child being born with a serious and actually terminal birth defect, how can they still say God is loving when something as awful as that? They see their child, they grow attached to this little infant, newborn, and they know in their hearts this infant is going to die soon because this child has a birth defect. It's just
and just think, awful. If they're Christian parents, more than likely they prayed to God that the child would be healthy, right? So the question is, so did your prayer not work?
That begs a good question as well, because the prayer, it serves no purpose. Prayer does not serve any purpose. I wrote about that in one of my many rants about why people. Oh yes, now I remember. It was during the terrible bombing of France. People were doing this. Oh, pray for France! Pray for France! Not a single one of you motherfuckers took your fucking time off to pray for the ones in Kenya. There was a massacre there. Oh no, but they were black, so fuck them, right? And in Japan, I think it was something awful the very same day. Didn't read a fucking thing about that. No, but the bombing in France, I'm not saying it wasn't terrible, but I'm saying prayers. Why the fuck do you even bother with prayers? Because logically, it's like this little flow chart I read about. Is it part of God's divine plan? No. Why do you pray? And if it's part of God's plan, yeah, why pray? You can't change it anyway. So basically, the flow chart was saying, fuck prayers. And it's just, why do people pray for something like, okay, let's take a ridiculous example about football and baseball. Oh, I prayed for my team. I prayed that my team will win, and the motherfucking team didn't win. So God didn't love you. You weren't faithful enough, or you were praying the wrong way. So God thought, fuck it, I'll let the opponents take this one. Or oh, I prayed to God. I found my car keys. Okay, so what you're saying is, you pray to God. God gave you the car keys, and the people in poor areas, they are still they're starving, and they are praying. They're still starving. So God didn't take God took time from his busy schedule to help you find your keys, but he did not help the starving family that works on under minimum wage and help them with food necessities. Praying is simply not rational in my mind. It will not ever be rational for me, because it just contains nothing. It makes the prayer feel good about itself. I mean, the praying person. They may feel, oh, I've been praying, so I'm a good person. Fuck off, you are. If you're not doing something, if you're not giving blood, if you're not giving food, shelter, anything, friendship, fucking friendship for the poor or the needy, then you give something, then you do something. But if you ever feel good about yourself after saying a prayer, fuck you. You're not allowed to. Do not even dare to feel good about yourself after a prayer. No.
Yeah. Well, and like you said about being a socialist, if you actually want to help people, then just go help people. But it's so funny about the people that supposedly pray, speaking of which, are usually often against socialism. They're right-wing conservatives. So they believe, supposedly they say prayer for the poor. They care about, praying for the hurting and the veterans. But yet for the same people that do this, think that we shouldn't take care of them in the real world. This shows the difference that many people, that are so staunchly believing in their, fundamentalism, why they don't see a need to also care in the real world, shows a direct harm for religion.
I agree with you completely. It is odd that the fundamental Christians, they are, like Kyle Kulinski say, they are as far away from Jesus as you can possibly go, because Jesus, even if he wasn't this magical dude, he was definitely a socialist.
Oh yeah.
He cared for the poor. He preferred the company of should we say, the working class, maybe.
Yeah.
He denounced the money at the temple. He told people to give up their riches. He was a socialist before socialism became a thing.
Right.
He was perhaps not the world's first socialist, but he was indeed. He should indeed be the most famous socialist. Why do not the Republicans, the Christian far right wingers in America, why do they not see this? Why do they?
I don't understand.
The term socialism as derogatory it is completely beyond my comprehension to understand this problem. Caring for your needy is not supposed to be weakness. Caring for your needy is supposed to be human. We're all human.
Yeah, I understand it, and like I said, it definitely it makes you see that because usually the people that are more liberal or more secular in their Christianity or their religion are usually more prone towards being left wing or liberal, and then they're usually more for caring about the world, that we actually live in. They're more prone to be socialist or, more liberal or progressive. It's just funny how the more religion you get, the less you care about this world. you say you pray, but you do less stuff in this world.
Yes, it is true. It's how should we say? It's so. No, wait. The thing is, you're completely correct because all they care about is the afterlife.
Yeah.
And I've heard this from a acquaintance I had that I was being selfish, and we atheists were being selfish because we care more about this world than the afterlife.
Yeah, well, of course we care more.
This is our only fucking life we have. It's not like we can go and do the Super Mario thing and get a little mushroom and say, oh, well, I got an extra guy here. So we get, I mean, we have to, somebody said, we have to leave this world in a better state than we found it.
Yeah.
But, many Christians, they think, no, we can do whatever the fuck we want because, okay, scratch the word fuck there, because this was a Christian politician in the States. He said, God will take care of the greenhouse effect, so we can do whatever we want to this earth. And that's actually so dangerous. I think he should be locked up because he obviously does not understand science. He obviously does not give a shit about his nation. Because many right-wingers, they tend to be very nationalistic.
Yeah.
If he really cared about the United States, he should preserve it. I mean, I've visited the United States, and I've seen a lot of lovely photos of Yosemite Park, of the Grand Canyon. Preserve that. I mean, don't pollute. I mean, yeah, don't pollute the nation you have. Don't pollute at all. There are so many lovely places, not only in the United States, but indeed the world. We don't need to pollute this world and make it fucked up so the human race would just be a forgotten speck. It's... Yeah, okay. As I was saying with China, it's awful over there as well, and I think it's just a shame the way we are treating the planet. Well, not necessarily we, but the people... the ones with power, they treat this world very poorly. And connecting this back to religion again, it's unfortunately the United States is where I get most of my laughs when it comes to religion. So I'm going to jump on the Republicans again and say that the majority of the Republican Party, they do not appear to be very educated when it comes to science, greenhouse effect, and above everything else, they do seem to be very, very much more about money, money, money. That's why it's just so... when you see somebody waving the southern flag, that's when I generally also think, no, I don't need this in... this person's opinion is automatically invalidated because I know it's scientifically this is wrong, but emotionally it does save me a lot of trouble to just look at a person's profile. Do they have the Republican flag? Yes. Ignore them, because I made the mistake of friending a Republican, or rather I accepted her friend thingy on Facebook. And turns out she was very nasty, and I blocked her, and basically I told her and her friends to go fuck themselves, because those were the friends that thought I was a Muslim, because I do not have an Anglo-Saxon name. Or rather, I do have a Swedish name, but I removed my Indian name. So the name Prashant Mahesvara, it's not in any of the Swedish tax. It's not on the government. I use my Swedish name on paper to get a job, and actually this connects back to the racism issue again. If you have a foreign name, you don't get these jobs you might see. Even if you're highly educated back in your own country, we have a lot of taxi drivers in Stockholm, for example, and in Malmö. they have high degrees, they have very fine educations, and they were engineers, and they were smart, good people. They work as fucking taxi drivers because they have foreign names, and foreign people. It's a sort of institutionalized racism. If you have a foreign name, you have a low chance of getting a job. That's why I scratched my Indian name. I mean, I don't need the government's fucking approval to say, your name is this. Well, no. I can't see myself as... Life is a game, and my avatar just uses another name. That's how I see things.
That's too bad, though. They have that. I'm totally against racism, and I'm not a nationalist at all. I'm an anarchist socialist, so I mean...
How does that, an anarchist socialist work? I mean, I've never heard of that combination. So,
you haven't heard of it? Oh, it's usually called social anarchism. It's usually pro equality, pro rights, non-nationalist, anti-fascist. It's anti-capitalist. When the anarchist to me basically means that there can be no hierarchy. That's the main thing for me, is no hierarchy. Hierarchical structures are inherently unequal. The fact that someone else is better, someone else is higher, but a social anarchist would be all parts of their life. In other words, not just government with no hierarchy, but family structures with no hierarchy. In other words,
everything you just said is, I agree. That was very good. It was, yeah. I would definitely be able to see myself as one, but for the sake of argument, I just go as a socialist. But I can completely agree with everything you just said there. People over here in Sweden, there are roughly 13% that votes for a very nationalistic, actually racist political party. They're called the Sweden Democrats, and they want to preserve Swedish culture, everything Swedish. It's just that if we're taking the approach of asking them, define Swedish, nobody has an answer. Not a single one of them has an answer. And one of the things I really hate about everything about this, is that my taxpayer money goes to this political party that is actually using my resources I give to them against me. So basically, whenever I buy something, I support somebody who wants me to die, more or less. This is not okay by any standards. And I mean, no, I don't even have any good words for it. It's just fucking atrocious. My taxpayer money should go to those that need it. I'm not very well off. I don't really have a job and things like that. I'm a student right now. I'm studying web development, and I'm not that bad off, of course. But I still try to give money to those who need it. But these motherfuckers that want me to pay money for, let's say, for the food I buy, and then use the resources I give them to try to fuck me over. Why am I even bothering to follow the law, which I actually don't, but that's beyond the point. Why should I follow the law and be a good taxpayer, be a good model citizen, when the government I actually work, or when the country I live in actually uses their resources against me? Tell me why I should keep abiding by the law. I mean, okay, technically I don't abide by the law. I still break the law here and there.
But I wouldn't talk about that. Just
yeah. Well, it's nothing major, but yeah, I think you're right. Like I said, I get carried away about some things, but you get the gist of it. It's just so wrong for the country to turn its resources against their citizens.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Well,
to me, the country is the citizens.
Oh yes.
But to me, as an anarchist, I don't believe in borders. Anyways, I think it's stupid. They're man-made bullshit. There's no. Show me where on the land there's a thing that shows this is this country. I mean, there's nothing. It's just human-made bullcrap that basically says that this matters and that doesn't. It's just, yeah. I'm not for that. I think that we really need to get past all that and just get that we're human and we need to really help each other and stop being the way that we are. You know, where, like you said, even religion promotes this is us and that's them, you know, and we're good and they're not.
A sort of tribalism,
Yeah.
very modern tribalism,
Yeah.
Tribalism nonetheless. And like you said, we need to get past all of this.
Oh yes.
We're
We're never gonna get any better if we don't get past this. We're never gonna get any better. We're never gonna get true success as a humanity, as a human race, you know, unless we do. We gotta get this, like you said, tribalism. It's this ancient, you know, negative thing that we still allow today. We just call it different things. We call them countries and nations, but it ends up being often the same thing. Go ahead.
As I was saying, it was. I don't like these nations. This, like you said yourself, it is man-made.
Yeah.
All of this. If we are ever to evolve, not only as humans, as people, as a species, we need to evolve and think beyond this limited thing. We can't have these countries and these nations, these feuds over resources. The Earth is limited, yes, but think bigger. Think not global. Think about cosmos rather than think about the Earth. Carl Sagan said a lot of good things about the Earth, but we need to be able to leave the Earth, to explore the stars. Think about what we could accomplish if we could simply ditch religion, if we could ditch this tribalism, this nationalism, and take us to something as far out as Mars. It is not that far. Mars is actually, it's visible for us. It's feasible. India has even been to Mars. But think about when we can leave this cluster, the local cluster. Think about when we can visit, for example, Andromeda, or let's see, what else could be? There are so many places in the galaxy we should be striving to explore. We should not be here and battle around limited resources. It's just stupid, all of it. Why should an omnipotent God have created all that we cannot see with our eyes, but just look out in the night sky? Just look at it, and then explain to me, what God would have placed us here and said, well, you shouldn't be reaching out for all of that. You should be only here, and you should worship me in this particular language, because this is sacred. It does not make sense. The word sacred, first of all. What about it? Why should Arabian be sacred? I don't give a shit about that. It's just a method of communication. As a programmer, can't I say that ones and zeros binary language is more sacred than Arabian? Can you give me a proof that Arabian is actually more sacred than binary? Well, no, I don't think anyone can. And that's my point. The word sacred is just thrown around to protect the religion from criticism. If you can't scrutinize religion, fuck it. It doesn't make sense to have something put on a high pedestal like this, and then say, you can't scrutinize this. This is sacred, but you can scrutinize about everything else. For instance, you are not religious. You don't belong to my religion. That means you're worth less, and I can treat you like shit. For example, again, Saudi Arabia. I have a classmate that is from Saudi Arabia, and I've heard both this and that from him, and it all pieces together with the fact that it's a very, very unmodern country. It's very primitive and backward. Oh, not technologically, no, but in their thinking, they're very primitive. It's a patriarchal society, and it just goes to show why I am a feminist, for example.
Right.
That's another thing with religion. It's just men, 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 men. Yeah, sure, I'm a man, but that doesn't mean I don't think it's bullshit that we men generally we have more advantages over females generally when it comes to employment things and salary, for example. It's just, could it be that all this this bullshit with women being unequal to men, can that have something to do with religion being so inbred into our cultures that basically women have been they have been put down a lot in history simply because they're women. And who else has done this? I can think. Oh, let me see. Oh, yeah, it's religion, right? So, which means that for me, just skip this with religion. Skip all this bullshit. We're supposed to be, like I said, much better than this. It's the year 2015, and we haven't come further than this. We haven't come further than bombings, air raids, drone strikes, murders, unequal salary, and some motherfuckers out there shouting feminazis. Oh no, the feminazis are coming. And no, I don't agree with you on that. You couldn't pay me to agree with you on that bullshit, because women are they are equal, and I will not say they are superior to men. We are equals. That's the basic of it. There are many things women can do better than I can. Hey, there are martial artists that could kick my ass that are women. Ronda Rousey comes to mind. Mia Carano comes to mind. I mean, they could fuck me up anytime, and I wouldn't even. It would take like half a second for them to knock me out. And they were supposed to be weaker. Oh no, I don't buy that shit.
Well, yeah, I told one guy one time. I said, so any guy that's weaker will then be a less of a man, right? Is that what you're saying? You know, I mean, like Stephen Hawking's in a wheelchair, so then he's not a full man, right? I mean, it's stupid.
What was his response to that?
Well, he just, it's a different thing. It's not a different thing. If you're
How is that different?
It's not different. It's the stupid thinking. I said, well, then me being 6 foot and being pretty strong, then I'm better than other men, right? I mean, it's just stupid. That's just, that thinking is barbaric. You go like you said about religion. Religion ties us to the past. It says that whatever you're doing now, make it like a long time ago. In a sense, it constantly, brings our values backwards. We need a secular society that brings our values forwards. We need to be more understanding, more connected as a human race, not looking backwards. The tribalism.
Exactly, and that's just a perfect way of putting it. We must strive forward in order to gain something. In order to, I don't know, we could bring so much more to the planets. We could have. I don't even know what we could have had if we hadn't had these idiot politicians saying, "Oh, you can't do this. You can't have stem cell research." Fuck, what do I know? Maybe we could have cured something. Somebody who's really, really smart could have probably used stem cell research to cure something very dangerous. years ago. But thanks to idiots like the Republican right, that's that's why we have problems. Religion is interfering with politics. It should be completely illegal to have it that way.
Oh, I agree.
Religion, well, I don't know.
It's like someone saying that because I have a sports team, I'm gonna treat these people better. I mean, it's really stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. It's just silly, but silly it's not strong enough as a word. I mean,
Yeah, ridiculous.
Ridiculous is much more like it than stronger words yet, because it really bothers me that so many people...
Dangerous. Dangerous?
Much better. It's dangerous to have these kind of powerful people on the top, and often men. For example, again, the United States, the president, man, and every other president you've had, man. And they have made decisions about women, about the uterus, about the abortion rights, and asshole idiots like Joshua Feuerstein has been... he doesn't even have a fucking womb, yet he challenges everyone to more or less bomb abortion clinics. He's part of the fucking problem, and he's a very, very famous... he's too famous for his own good, and he's actually dangerous, and I hate the fact that... I hate everything about him, and my hate goes pretty deep.
Well, I don't understand, too, that when they act like about the abortion clinics, so you're mad that people are killing people, so to solve that problem, you're gonna kill people. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's that kind of logic that's not logical. It's just...
Yeah, it's an ideology that doesn't make sense. Just like the fact I told this guy, he goes, well, birth is not when a baby is a person. A baby is a person at conception. I said, well, the Bible says that birth is at the breath of life. That would be at birth, or the person is when the breath of life. So it fills them, they're gods or whatever. But so that would be that once they're born, it would not be a conception. But another thing too is that if they really think this is a full person at conception, are they saying that if there was test tubes with fertilized eggs, and there was real humans that are alive, that they would have to have a hard choice of which to destroy? If I told them you have to pick one, destroy 10 embryos that are fertilized, or destroy 10 people, would they really have to go, I don't know. No, you would say destroy the 10 embryos because they're not full people. Even they can logically think of that and go, yeah, the people that are here, yeah, those are people. Those things, they're not people. So would they have funerals for those eggs that are funeral? So they're not people. They know. They're saying something different, but even they know those are not people.
I agree with that. No, I can't even object. It's just complete agreement, because you can't... Those aren't people. You can't just have a funeral for these fertilized eggs that are... Oh, no. I can't even say anything about it. It's just brilliantly put.
Yeah.
You have obviously been doing this for a long time, because you know what to say.
Oh yeah, I know what to say. There's like this one guy when I was in the street in front of the Planned Parenthood. The guy was holding a sign that says "Pray for Planned Parenthood," just to end, or pray for the babies to stop dying or something. I can't remember now. But he doesn't get why pray. Okay, like you said about free will, God already is allowing it. Why pray? And if you think that prayer begging God to do something like they think stopping murder if you have to pray for a God who's all moral to come to that conclusion that should happen, then would you really want to pray to that God that doesn't already know that things shouldn't be killed? I mean, you have to beg him to remind him, oh yeah, people are dying, please do something. But I told him worse than that. You know, it's funny that here you do this, right? But he doesn't get that doing that, the praying, right? Asking people to prayer. How long have they been doing that, right? I would assume that people have been praying, Christians, for like the last, 20 years or something?
Yeah.
You know, or more, since Roe v. Wade, have been praying for it to stop. And prayer for all these years has done what? Nothing. So either your God likes abortion and lets it happen, or your God can't stop abortion, which means he's not all powerful, or doesn't care to stop abortion, which if you think it's murder, then he doesn't have morality.
And there you blow the mind again. It's just, I love it when people just lays it out just like that, because there's no escape from
No escape.
Logically, there's no escape from this reasoning. They can't do their mental gymnastics to escape from this kind of logic and say, I've heard some people reason, you will pay for this in the afterlife, you will burn in hell. That's their escape. That's their logical conclusion. They can't figure out an answer.
Or what they'll try to do in America sometimes, they'll say, well, your God's logic is not man's logic. And I said, well, okay, then you admit that it's not logical. I'm glad you at least admit that it's not logical.
Yeah, it's just brilliant again, because they have no escape from the reasoning. Like I said, it's just impossible. But I still long for the day when, for example, your government will start taxing the churches, the mega churches especially, because, oh fuck, they have the money. Do they have ever have the money? Because they live in estates. No, they don't even live in estates. They live in fucking castles.
Oh yeah, castles, yeah.
Insane. And their churches, they can fit 1 million refugees in there, but do they want to? No, because they have the money. They have all the money, and they still want more. They get it from the government. They get it from the people in these Sunday donations bullshit thingy. Oh, they don't need that much, I can tell you that, because it's just insane. They should start taxing it, because churches shouldn't escape from taxing, because you have so much to get from there, and once you start taxing the churches and stop treating Christianity specifically like the chosen religion that will abolish all evil, once that stops, I think it will be so much better, because then America can start helping its own people and set things straight again, because like we said earlier, there are a lot of homeless people, and if you can just turn more social and socialist and start helping these people, I think that things will start to turn the right way again, because once you have enough resources, not resources, you already have the resources. Once you start helping the ones in your country that needs it, things will spiral up again, I think.
Yeah, it will, and it's a sad thing that it's not gone more. You know, to think that the year that this is, and how people are still fighting over the most basic stupid things. I mean, we're still fighting racism. Are you kidding me? You know, and
Yeah.
it makes no sense. It's like we have a African American president, but it's funny to me where I don't think it's that big of a deal. Would have been a better deal to me is if he was able to fill the whole White House with African Americans or people of color, you know, and that he couldn't have done that. People would have been outraged if he would have done that. But really, what's the difference? I mean, having the whole, cabinet being white for how long? I mean, really, what's the difference? That doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
I agree with you because, but if he would have done it, I am certain there would have been a lot of outrage from people like the KKK, for example, and this Joshua Feuerstein, he's people are still questioning Obama's birth certificate.
Oh, yeah.
And they're saying he's a Muslim and shit like that.
It's totally
That's
stupid.
Just, their own stupid racism, because they never say shit about if it's a Christian president. It's more or less, if you're not Christian, on the other hand, then that is completely impossible to get to the presidency, because people are stupid. I'm sorry to say it, but if people are that stupid that they must have a Christian president, no, it's not serious. I can't take that kind of people serious when they do like that.
Yeah, and he is a Christian, so which is really funny too. It's like they say he's a Muslim. It's like he went to Christian churches. He's a Christian. I mean, what is it? But even if he was a Muslim, so what?
Exactly.
So what does that matter? I mean, it's just xenophobia, fear of anything different.
Yeah, but it's they're just eating out of their president's hand when they say when a Republican says something like fuck it, I lost my train of thought here. But the thing is, it's like you said, it's xenophobia. Like they can't tolerate anything being different from what they are used to. And
Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous. Well, sure, even everyone has sometimes difficult to adapt to new ways of thinking, but if you really can't even adapt to the fact that your president might have another mindset about religion and theology than yourself, then you are truly stupid. Because, like you said, even if he was a Muslim, he still would have run the country the same. He wouldn't have implemented special laws for Muslims.
Right.
And or rather, I am quite certain that if the United States would have a Muslim president at one time in the future, I am certain he won't, or she would not implement special laws that would apply solely and specifically to benefit Muslim people.
Yeah, but they're only okay. They would be okay though if there was a president that made laws solely to protect Christians. They would be so supportive.
Oh yes, that's basically what everyone there is whining about as well. Again, like Feuerstein, because he's my favorite target to pick on.
Your favorite idiot?
Yeah, he is, because my God, he's stupid. It's not like he's one of those. I vote for. I'm joining the KKK kind of stupid. He's that kind of idiot stupid where he doesn't realize how stupid he is. That he keeps pushing out these videos, and he keeps getting money, and what does he do with them? Does he do anything Christian with it? With the money? He spends it on pistols. He got a gold-plated Desert Eagle. I'm not really sure, but I don't think humans actually eat lead, so that's not very Christian of him to spend it on weapons. He has said he's going to invest in a new camera. He still films in this wide-angle, close-up, disgusting kind of shot that makes me want to vomit. So he hasn't bought a new camera either. He's just a joke, a stupid joke at that, and he's not Christian.
Yeah. I don't really watch him. I don't really watch actually anybody, because I just don't do that. I'm too busy with my own book and my own stuff. I have my own ideas about atheism and stuff and what to do with the world. And I'm too busy with doing my own thing to give a shit about him. But yeah, I know who he is. I've seen his stuff.
I can understand you're busy because you live in the States and you have. I mean, you have to go and do this with the signs and go to protests and things. But I can't afford this luxury because I'm sitting here safe and sound in Sweden, where the religion isn't this kind of deal at all.
Yeah.
It's more of a Christmas here. It's more of a thing where you get together with family and we put up trees and sure, some people go caroling and go pray in the morning and shit like that. But mostly it's about this having the close family nearby and spending time with them. It's very, very few people who actually give a shit about the birth of Christ.
Oh, it's very religious here. Very.
I see that. It's almost like it's giving me a headache just thinking about it. I remember it was a man in, I can't remember which state it was, but he was actually fined $500, I think, per day for a nativity scene featuring zombie Jesus, zombie Joseph, and zombie Mary. I mean, he was fined, and this was really protected under the freedom of religion.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech. They're not supposed to be able to do that, but the Christians in the States, they seem to be able to manipulate the laws a little here and there to gain favor and use the law in a very corrupt sense. It's frightening in a way.
Yeah, it is frightening because I don't mind. They always act like it's oppression. I don't mind if you live your religion your way any more than I mind if you're a sports fanatic. As long as you keep that to yourself, what do I care?
Exactly.
But they don't keep it to themselves. It's like if a sports fanatic were to make everybody have to do that sport in the whole country, or else. Or say that, those that don't do their certain kind can't, get a certain right. It's ridiculous.
I know, it's weird, but there's very little you can do about it too, because I don't know what it would take for America or the United States to change their way of thinking to accept it. To accept the fact that not everyone wants to be part of your bullshit religion, and the way some people are pushing Christianity on the rest of the country. It's just ridiculous that the people in power can do that. For example, there's a sheriff, I think it was in Tennessee, that had added a lot of he invested a lot of money in putting "In God We Trust" on the service cars, the police cars, and some people actually took offense to this because they fuck that, the police were supposed to protect anyone, not just Christians, but no, he just violated the law there, and basically, in the interview, he said, "I don't give a shit. I'm Christian, and this is what I want to do." Yeah, fine, but you're actually using taxpayer cars to promote your own religion, which
Right.
is legal.
But so you're bringing up a good point though about the. That's why I think it's interesting when atheists say they don't want to be political, but we really don't have a choice. We can't keep our atheism silent. We can't keep it apolitical, non-political, because the religious doesn't keep it non-political. They are actively using their religion in political arena. We by default, unless we don't want to have a free country or free a society, we have to be involved because religion is involved.
You are completely correct there, because, like you said, they don't play without religion. They bring religion into everything they do. They can't leave it at the doorstep once they go from home, but they bring it to, like you said, everywhere they go, especially in Republican debates or debates at all. It's religion everywhere, and it just makes it impossible for free thinkers, for skeptics, for atheists in your country to actually have a position of power if they are not already religious, because
But see, it's funny you bring up the thing, because to me, a free thinker, a skeptic, and a secular could all be someone who's religious. You could be all that and still be religious. It just would mean you have to have a very mild, watered down religion, but you could still be religious, because secular just means that you believe, in a sense, to me, or what the word means, is like secularism, which is just that a government should run without religious control, but that doesn't mean it has to be atheist. Secular doesn't mean atheist. Free thinker comes from religion. That comes from Christianity, the free thinking movement. It meant that you try to solve, in a sense, human problems, and through human means, not just religion, instead of leaving the box. I think, in a sense, most people, if they've lived or raised religion, their first step really is free thinking. It's a step away from religious dogma. You start to have free thinking. Free thinkers usually become atheists, because the more free thinking you do, the more you realize, well, this just doesn't make sense. Why am I doing this? Same with skeptics. Skeptic doesn't mean that you're an atheist. All skeptics are not atheists. Though, like I've heard a statement before, that all atheists, in a sense, should be somewhat skeptical. So just like all atheists, in a sense, should be somewhat free thinkers. I mean, you shouldn't be dogmatic if you're, but they're not interchangeable. Just like humanism, the word comes from religion, from Christian religion. It was a belief that they care about man or humans more than in the real world, than just praying or whatever, actually doing real works, doing things, and as a means. It eventually now has become almost like saying that you're an atheist, but humanism doesn't mean that. There's religious humanism. So I know a lot of people use these other words, but they don't really. That's why we always have atheism on my signs, and where I agree with I agree with David Silverman on the fact of how important atheism is, because it answers the question. Because if I ask you, what's your religion? You say humanism. You haven't told me anything. All you've told me is that you don't believe that it's necessary to use dogma or religion to solve human problems. That you usually use rationalism or evidence, not faith. But that doesn't mean you're not religious or you don't believe in a God. You could. Same thing if you tell me you're secular. You're just saying you believe everybody has an equal right in government, and religion shouldn't be a part of that. But there's people that feel that and are religious. In fact, in America, there's the separation of church and state. There's a thing where there's a bunch of people that have an organization that basically promote that. But a lot of the people involved are religious, but they don't want religion running government. So yeah, it's important to say you're an atheist, because it means I don't believe. Now, I usually tell people that if you ask how it relates to my life, I would say I'm probably somewhat of an apatheist, which means the God doesn't matter. I don't think about the God. I don't think about religion. I just live my life. It doesn't really matter. I live my life on my own terms or whatever. Most people, I would think, atheists generally do that. They don't live like thinking about hating God constantly. They live their life because the God doesn't matter. I don't think about, how many things I don't believe in. I think about what I do believe in. Mainly. And then I also say, if you ask me my opinion about what I think about gods, I'm an agnostic with an I, which basically means that the concept of God what is that? I challenge even the concept. In a moment that you start adding labels or characteristics to this term, God, you're making shit up. You're lying. You're telling me fables from the past. You can't, in other words, you can't point to something in nature and say, oh, well, the only explanation is a magical power, not of this universe. Because how would you know that? And what do you mean, not of this universe? What does that mean? How would you know that? And if they say, oh, well, and it's all loving, do you know anything that's all loving? I mean, what does that mean? How do you know that? Where does that thinking come from? Well, it's all powerful. What's all powerful? I mean, you're not even thinking. Do you know what that means? If you say all powerful, then you have a point to where power starts, correct? Or ends. Yeah. The concept you're saying doesn't make sense. Or if they say that it lives forever, how do you know that? I mean, you know this for a fact because of why? You're just accepting all this nonsense. It doesn't. The word itself means nothing. Just think, even stars die. Even the universe began, so that we believe, out of nothing, what it looks like, and possibly could end in nothing. I mean, the concept that you're saying of things living forever doesn't make sense. And if you could explain to me why it does, do that, because it doesn't, and do it from something that you can prove, something we can test, something you can show. Even show. Okay, I tell people, show me anything supernatural. Forget God. Just show me anything where the only explanation is magic. There is nowhere. So I don't even have to be, in a sense, be an atheist, because I just accept nature as it presents itself, which is supernatural free. There's nothing. There's nothing of any kind. There's not even the smallest bit of magic. Forget ultimate power. There's not even the smallest. You can't even. One time I told this Christian, I went to a debate, and there's a part of the Bible that says, Jesus says that if you have the faith of a mustard seed, that you could move a mountain. So I told him, I believe you probably have faith of a mountain, correct? I bet you can't move this mustard seed. And I put a seed on the table. I told him.
What was his response?
He goes, oh, you can't test God. And I go, really? So what you're saying is not you can't test God. You're saying God won't prove himself. That's really what you're saying. But what you're really saying is then there's no proof.
Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
Oh, it's gotta hurt. I bet he is outraged. But that's what I'm saying. It's nonsense. You can't even prove the smallest little thing, and yet you think that he created the universe. He can't even make this, a cotton ball move. I mean, it's nothing. It's completely asinine. So to me, like when people say they're agnostic because they don't know, what is it you don't know? I mean, you don't even know the concept of God, because the concept of God doesn't even know itself. There is no concept without making shit up. I mean, like if you say there's a black hole, before there's black holes, we knew that there had to be because of other things, other evidence. There's nothing where you look at the evidence and you're like, oh, well, God, magic. Oh, shit, magic. There's nothing. And I laugh when people say that, well, God's outside of time, so you can't find God.
Oh.
Okay, but he does do things supposedly in time, correct? So there should be things happening, particularly to your belief, that would be evident in this real world. There has to be. Otherwise, you're saying he doesn't even operate in this world. So because what I'm saying is, so you should be able to look at a Christian population, and they should have more benefit of some kind than any other population, or the Muslims, or Hindus, or Sikhs, or whatever. There should be clearly a difference, if it mattered, but it doesn't. So to me, even the question, I got to hear people before say, well, science can't disprove God. I'm like, no, that's all science has ever done, is disprove God. You have that completely backwards. In fact, every test reaffirms that there is no God. Every time they do a test and no magic shows up, they reprove, okay, still natural, and again, still natural. To keep believing in the fantasy of supernatural is to add something to nature that is not there.
I agree with that. It's well, yes, it's just well put, because every time we do prove something, it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson said, God is an ever-receding pocket of scientific ignorance.
Yeah.
And it's basically what you said. Every time something happens, when scientists are talking about they have found something more elusive than the Higgs boson, it's a new particle. And there it is again. We disproved God more or less once again, because we haven't found God in any of the other particles.
Exactly.
Why should we be in this particular particle? What's beyond that little particle? Are there more? What have we missed? But basically, yes, it's disproving God every time there's a scientific success in any way. No matter how small the test was, if it was just to prove gravity, it's sufficient to disprove that God does not exist, because apparently God made the Earth stand still. We do know what would have happened if the Earth actually stood still. The momentum would kill people.
Oh yeah, it would be horrific. The poles might change. I mean, it would change a lot of things. It would be traumatic to the least. Another thing that's funny too is, let's just say, I like to like in philosophy with people, let's say your God is real. Let's say that God is real, that there is such thing as a creator, because they go, well, how was Earth created? Fine. Let's just say there was a creator. How do you know that your God is the creator? How, looking from the evidence, even if you think that there had to be something that created, why is it your God? Why is it the Christian God? Why not the Hindu God? Why not Vishnu? I mean,
why not Odin?
Not Odin, exactly. It doesn't make any sense. How do you know it's yours? How can you be sure it's yours? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And then they, oh well, I believe it because of the Bible. How do you know the Bible is correct? Well, I feel it in my heart.
Oh God, that's such a that is a very stupid way of saying I believe in God. I feel it in my heart. No, you were born in that particular religion.
Yeah.
Most likely. I mean, probably 90% of the people were born into the religion. Sure, some have converted. Some have actually gone from atheism to religion. Some have gone from Christianity to Islam, or vice versa.
Right.
But it's still saying you're feeling it in your heart. It's actually not an acceptable evidence, because I hate to get all scientifically bullshitty about things, but sometimes you have to think really rational and not accept proof of.
Well, you know the way that I answer the question, really simple. It's a great way. What you feel in your heart, you think is true, correct? Yes. Don't you feel in your heart right now that you're not moving? Even you're not moving, right? You feel like you're sitting down, but the truth is that we're actually spinning. Every part on the earth, in a sense, is almost 1,000 miles an hour, but you feel nothing. So what you would say, in my heart, I'm not moving, you would be wrong without science. So we need science to remind us what the truth really is, because sometimes our perception of truth is completely wrong without scientific understanding.
That was a brilliant way of putting it, because everything there is just spot on. It's all true. I mean, I can't say anything against that kind of.
So we're about to end it. So is there anything else that you wanted to mention, or do you have any questions for me before we end it?
Oh, I always have tons of questions, to be honest. And during live fire, so to say, that's when my mind just goes blanked out.
Yeah.
So, no, but if I have any questions, would you accept them on Facebook and like that? Because no, I don't. Okay, one, and it is the following. How did you? Where did you start off from? What's your story? Do you have it on somewhere where I can read about it? Or?
Yeah, I have both that you can read about it, and I have a thing on my life where I talk about a video on my life where I talk about my abuse and stuff, being raised in a very strict religious cult to begin with, and Christian cult, and yeah, I was a Christian until I was 36, and I went to college. And I went to college to be a drug and alcohol counselor. And but after going to college and getting my bachelor's, before I ever finished, they told me I should take 2 classes on religion because I'm getting into addictions field. It's good to know other religions because it's real big in the addictions field that you have higher powers and religions involved, which it shouldn't be. But like Alcoholics Anonymous and different, Narcotics Anonymous, whatever.
Yeah, I know about that.
They're all about, higher power and God. So, but I was pretty ignorant really about religion. I couldn't even have named 5 world religions. I didn't know. I mean, I just very ignorant. But I knew they were wrong because they weren't Christian, They're not, well, if they're not Christian, they're wrong. I mean, by default. But it's a stupid thing. I know it's stupid. You're laughing at it. It is stupid. But I was stupid. I was very, but that's really, I think, how they can have a person who's a good thinker and keep them down in religion is by not thinking, not having information. The more I got information, the more I'm like, what? So the first thing, having the class on the world religions, we did 10 religions, basically, and we had 1 each week. As we're doing these religions, I started going, man, there's a lot of it's the same. They all know how you're supposed to live your life, just them, and that they understand the afterlife, their afterlife, and they tell you the morality you're supposed to have, and how you're supposed to live your life if you want to get to the afterlife. They say is the best. And they all do this, every single one of them. And I was like, wow, I wonder if it's man-made. I think they're all wrong. And I thought, well, I wonder if mine's wrong. I wonder if mine's just man-made. Is it just the same thing? And then I found this thing where the golden rule I thought was a Christian thing, like Jesus is, But I found a thing in my class on religions that it had listed like, I think it's 14 different religions, and all of them have a golden rule. So that's when I really started going, this really sounds man-made. But then when I took a class on the Bible, I thought, I'm going to ace this class because I've read the Bible twice. I've been a Christian for 36 years. No problem. And but it was one of the hardest classes for me, really, because it was having to learn things I did not know. Like they start off the class, and Exodus is the first book of the Bible. First one written. They can tell this because of the language it was written in. Because we know what language it was written in. And then we know later Genesis was written in exile in Babylon because the language is changed. And it was more than one person doing all this different stuff. And in the Epic of Gilgamesh is like the Bible's, Noah's Ark. And it was written like 2,000 years before. And all this different stuff. And you just go, wow. But I started like questioning, and also in biology, when they said that, everybody starts out female. The default for humans is female, and it takes 3 processes to become male. It takes anti-feminizing androgens, masculizing androgens, and testosterone. All different levels of the development. But I started going, if that's true, then how do we come from Adam? why wouldn't it be that male is the default? I mean, if the Bible is true, wouldn't that make sense? I mean, it's like contradiction. I started going, whoa. And then that really got me, though, made me turn atheist, was when we got to the middle of the book and talked about Satan, Lucifer, the devil, the serpent. They're not all the same person in the Bible. That blew me away. That was it. That was what turned me atheist. I just went, and they proved it.
They were.
They proved it. No, they're not. They showed this one. They prove where it's not. They prove where it's not. They prove it's not. It blew me away. I mean, that was the point. I got hot. That was the point that I went, I didn't even know what atheist was. I just knew this is bullshit. The Bible's a lie. I never met an atheist, never heard an atheist talk. I didn't, nothing about it. I just knew I couldn't believe this. I didn't even know I was an atheist. I was like, wow, I can't believe this anymore. Especially like if you read in Genesis, it says that the serpent in the garden was the most crafty of the creatures created in the garden. It clearly states that it was a creature that God had made as part of the beginning of creation. So it was not a fallen angel. Just right there. I mean, I can't remember the verses, the other ones, but the one of Lucifer it means light bearer, and it had to do with the king of Babylon or Persia. Maybe it was Persia. But anyways, it had to do with the king. It did not have to do with any being of any kind. You just start reading. They proved, and I was like, oh man, I'm done. So, and it wasn't a very hard step to go, Satan's not real, devil's not real. Well, either is God. I mean, it was not that hard of a jump to start putting the pieces together. But it was about 6 months before I even felt, because even like I said before, and I first started, I was like, I don't know if I should be called an atheist, because I'm not, anti Greek mythology. I didn't understand what atheist meant. Atheist in its simple form, like just basic form, is just that you lack a belief in a God, that you don't have a belief in a God or gods. In its stronger forms, it can be that there's no God, or you believe there's no God, or you reject all gods. I mean, it just depends. But people sometimes people say, well, I'm agnostic, and they don't get, though, is, do you believe in a God? If they say, no, I don't believe, well, then you're an atheist. I mean, if you say you're agnostic, but you say you believe in the possibility of God, you're really not an atheist. You're a theist. If you believe in the possibility of a God, that means that you're a theist. If you don't believe in the possibility of God, then you're an atheist. I don't care what other words you add to it. Those are just other extra stuff. But if you say that, it's that simple. And so it's important, but for me it was really hard, because also to be an atheist in my family would have been, to me, to say that I'm dead, because to them I'm going to hell, so I'm dying. So in fact, when I didn't want to tell my family, because my family were very religious, but my mom on the phone, she said, I want to pray for you. And I was like, that's okay. And she's like, oh, are you angry at God? No, I'm not angry at God, because I don't believe in a God. Although if there was a God so far as what you claim, then I would be angry at that being, because that being is allowing torture and suffering. Yeah, I would have something to say. As much as I'd hate a bad president or a bad dictator or what.
May I ask one quick final question before we round this off? Because the last thing you said, if there is a God, you would have been angry. Let's pretend again that there actually is a God, and you stand on the threshold to the pearly gates,
right.
Blah blah blah. God appears. What would you tell him?
Well, if I stood at the pearly gates, I would.
Is it the same?
Well, you mean like in heaven? You're talking about going.
Yeah, you meet God in heaven, and it turns out he's real. What would you say?
Well, under his own rules, I would already be in hell if the God was real, because there's a passage in the Bible. I can't remember off the top of my head what the passage is, but it's in Matthew and I think in Luke, maybe in Mark too. But it's in at least one, if not two, versions of the Gospels. But it says that if you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, that is the only unforgivable sin. So I've already openly said I blaspheme the Holy Spirit as worthless, as meaningless, as stupid, as, barbaric, whatever. I mean, so to me, if their thing was true, then I would already be in hell because it's a non-forgivable sin. So I told my mom, you can stop praying for me because I blaspheme the Holy Spirit. So, I'm done as far as your book is concerned. And to me, I would already say that I already have a problem and be angry with any God that would say that statement is worse than child rape. I mean, so child rape is forgivable, but me saying that an idea is stupid is unforgivable. I could never worship such a being. I mean, it's horrific. Why would anyone want to worship such a being?
Yeah, it's beyond my comprehension. It's there are no words for it. But that actually does answer my question because
yeah.
So
all right.
I want to thank you for taking your time to interview me.
Definitely, I appreciate it.
For not only all the work you do, I do appreciate when you put things up on Instagram, but I also I wanted to thank you because you taught me a few new things here in this conversation, which is always appreciated.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate your time. And I can add you to my groups and stuff if you want, because I have groups and pages.
I would appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, it was.
Have a great day now.
Yes, it